How are you all doing tonight? My name is Bigbobbedboi and welcome. So basically Wellhead has now data mined all the SoD P2 runes, all the Gnomer loot has been data mined, Blood Moon PvP loot has been data mined, and so have most of the new skills that drop from the dungeon manuals. There's some amazing shit here, so I gotta talk about it. It's just so good. Obviously, there's spoilers here. If you're not interested in what the new runes will be and other spoilers, then this is not the video for you. And as is always the case with data mining, some of this stuff will not go live. Some of it was old stuff they forgot to remove. Some of it is for level 50 or 60. Okay? Okay. First thing, it looks like it's not just belt and boot runes. There's helm and bracer runes data mined as well. It is possible the helm and bracer runes come in at level 50. There's no way to tell from the data mined info. Each class has about 3 per slot, with a few getting 4. So final version is probably 3 or 4 for each of these slots. We're going to talk about the individual runes. Let's cover Hunter first. Hunter, Jesus, is putting in some serious work this week because these runes are amazing. Belt runes, Aspect of the Viper, what the fuck? And it's a good version of Aspect of the Viper. It does reduce damage by 10%, but not 50, so it's kind of an in-between version, and it works for Melee Hunter. Interestingly, Wowhead data mined a rune version of this and a skill book version of this. So it could be a rune or one of our new baseline skills from those books. Exposed Weakness is coming back, that was kind of expected. We saw Melee Specialist, but wait, what's this? Steady Shot. Oh shit, Steady Shot. Now this is a weaker version of Steady Shot. It's only 60% weapon damage. TBC one was base weapon damage plus some AP. We'll have to test out how this works, but it is looking good, and is another step towards TBC BM Hunter. Boot runes, we have dual wield spec, so not only is Melee Hunter getting pumped up, now you can dual wield Melee Hunter. Amazing. And they have to be the same type of weapons. That's kind of weird, but I know a lot of people were much more interested in dual wield Melee Hunter than two-handed Melee Hunter. Invigoration, this is okay. Your pet's crits give you 5% mana, but only pet special ability is not auto attack. This is just not going to be worth it compared to the next one, which is Trap Launcher. In combat and ranged traps, fire and frost on separate cooldowns. Wow. We are now going to be launching our traps at mobs as part of our normal rotation. This is amazing. Bracer runes only had 2 data mined, Focus Fire, and this is fucking fantastic. Exactly what I want to see for BM Hunter. Consumes all applications of Frenzy from your pet, increasing your ranged attack speed by 3% and granting 4 focus to your pet for each application of Frenzy consumed. Lasts 20 seconds. Your pet gains Frenzy each time it uses a basic attack, increasing its melee attack speed by 6% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. This is another chef's kiss. I'm not sure about the actual damage numbers. They sound good, but they can always change. The gameplay behind this is great. It's not just my pet sitting there obliterating. It's a way to give BM another button to hit, and for the BM Hunter and the BM pet to play off of each other, which is exactly how BM should be. TNT, explosive shot and trap damage by 10%. This is really lame. Probably the worst rune for Hunter. We need to get away from these boring flat damage increase ones. This was one of our biggest issues in P1. Oh yeah, and what does that mean for the Frenzy talent? Will we have 2 abilities now called Frenzy, or does this replace the talent? Yeah, most of this stuff is actually amazing. My expectations for P2 runes was extremely low. Blizzard has utterly shocked me here. I can't believe it. Wow. Alright, I'm going to cover each class here because they're all getting something really good, but I'm not going to cover every rune, although I will show all of them. Let's look at Mage next. They are also getting dope shit, and I'm probably going to be playing a lot of Mage this phase. Frost Fire Bolt. Oh yes, Frost Fire Bolt. But the main thing here is Hot Streak. Both are belt runes, so it doesn't look like you can use both, which is a bit disappointing, but both are really good abilities. Missile Barrage is the one we already saw, buffing arcane missiles, but Spell Frost Bolt, this is extremely interesting. It looks like Frostfire Bolt, but it's Frost and Arcane instead of Frost and Fire, so I assume it gets a bunch of your Arcane talents and Frost talents, and it could also couple well with Healing Mage since it's not Frost or Fire. Brain Freeze, instant fireballs for Frost, or it does work for Frostfire Bolt as expected, but also the new Spell Frost Bolt. Chronostatic Preservation, this was the one of the runes they showed yesterday. Now, Balefire Bolt. I don't know what the fuck this is, but it seems insane. Each time you cast Balefire Bolt, the damage of your next Balefire Bolt within 30 seconds will be increased by 10%, and your spirit will be decreased by 10% for 30 seconds, both stacking up to 10 times. If your spirit reaches 0 as consequence, you will immediately die. This spell will be checked against the lower of your target's arcane or fire resists. Okay, you just die. If your spirit reaches 0, I love it. But Balefire seems to be arcane and fire, so they are really pushing these double element specs now. Frostfire, Spellfire, and Balefire. That's extremely cool. Displacement. So Blink turns into the Reaper ability. You can blink as normal, then within 10 seconds teleport back to your blink location, and resets the cooldown of blink. What? This sounds so unimaginably OP in PvP. There's no way it makes it in like this. Deep Freeze. Okay, so I think Frost is actually going to be really good now. Temporal Anomaly. This is a nice shield for healing spec. And Spell Power. It's just called Spell Power. 50% bonus crit damage for your spells. Okay, Mage is looking pretty damn good. Druid. So Eclipse and King of the Jungle that they already showed off are the ones I'd say are the biggest for Druid, but they do get a lot of other nice stuff. Nourish for healing, and Boomkin getting Dream State. That will really help out on the mana, which Boomkin will start to have some mana problems now since we'll be using Starfire. I also found Gale Winds very interesting. This turns Hurricane into an actual AoE that you can, use and do damage with. And Improved Barkskin. You can now just cast Barkskin on other players, and it has none of the penalties. That's pretty good. Warrior. I'm a little bit confused on the Warrior runes. Blood Surge and Precise Timing. That is 2 ways to make Slam instant, although they do share a rune slot. My guess is one of these won't make it into the game and was just an earlier thing they tested. Enraged Regen coming in is super nice. 30% max health heal. Rampage being here is also cool if you like that style of gameplay, but for me, Tank Warrior is what gets the most here. Intervene, Sword and Board, Shield Mastery. Tank Warrior damage is already really high. This is going to be pretty scary. Although there's no Gladiator stance and no Blade Storm, I was kind of expecting at least one of those. Rogue, Poisoned Knife, another ranged skill for rogues. I'm not sure why they're going so hard on that. But Shadow Step. Oh yes, Shadow Step. I love Shadow Step. But actually, other than that, the rogue runes, they are nice. There is some damage stuff here, but there's nothing that really, jumps out at me. There's definitely good stuff here. Like, honestly, all of these are good, but nothing I was particularly hoping for or really excited about other than Shadow Step. Lock. Alright, Lock is also getting some pretty damn nice stuff. Immolation Aura. Having that passive AoE for tanking is going to be really nice, and possibly it could just be good AoE damage. It is fire, so it will stack with all those previous fire buffs. Unstable Affliction. And it's the proper version that includes the Dispel Silence. Damn. And Summon Felguard. Yeah, I think Warlock is going to continue to be pretty damn good at level 40. Paladin. Okay, this is probably the most disappointing one on here for me. There is a lot of good stuff here, but it's kind of similar to Rogue. There's nothing that really jumps out at me. There are no drastic changes to how tank or rep plays. Good number stuff, but if you notice, there's no new real abilities here. They're all changing existing abilities. Except for Sacred Shield. Do like Sacred Shield. And Enlightened Judgments, increasing judgment range by 30 yards. Not to 30 yards, but by 30 yards. And making it so your spells never miss. Yeah, that's actually really cool. Shaman, I think we already saw Shaman's most interesting runes in the preview yesterday. Fire Nova, that's very cool. But Power Surge is probably the best one here. Flame Shock is a 5% chance. That's a little bit low. But it'll reset Lava Burst and Chain Lightning and make them instant cast. Damn. Now, I wonder if those are exclusive, so you can only get an instant Lava Burst or instant Chain Lightning, or do you get both? It doesn't say. It does share a belt slot with Maelstrom, so you can't have multiple instant Lava Bursts, but it's still pretty nice to have those, and it even works with Chain Heal. Priest, okay, some crazy shit here. Shadow gets miles better at 40, and now they get Dispersion, damn, and Shadow Fiend, and Void Zone. Okay, being able to place Void Zones as a player is just amazing, and will really help out their AoE. The actual craziest shit here, though, is Spirit of the Redeemer. You can just turn into Spirit of Redemption for 30 seconds. It's not when you die. You just do it, and you still can't be attacked or targeted. I don't see how this makes it in. This would let you avoid mechanics in PvE and be super OP in PvP. If this goes in, I'm working on my Priest like right away. And interestingly, this is the first rune that says it requires the talent. I wonder if the Hunter Frenzy talent is supposed to be something like this as well. Alright, that's it for the runes. Let's take a look at the Gnomer loot. They were not joking with the new epics in Gnomer. This stuff is actually looking really, really good. I counted 13 epics and there's over 100 pieces of gear here. So I'm going to show all of it on screen now. Now, with this many new pieces of gear, it means it's very likely that almost all, if not all, of our P2 bis will be in Gnomer. Depending on your spec before, only about half your bis was in BFD. And this stuff is also going to take us to 50 no problem. Some of the coolest stuff is an epic healing and arcane damage staff, pretty heavily mage focused, but it has built-in jumper cables. It's crazy. Now, the axe from Thermoplug was turned into an epic axe, but for some reason it kept the 2.7 speed. Electrocutioner's leg was also turned into an epic, but it also kept that shitty speed. What the fuck? Epic caster one-handed weapon this time, not a staff. There are offhands to go with it, but there is no epic offhand. And there's an epic gun. Thank you, Hunter Jesus. There are 4 epic necklaces. A parachute cloak that doesn't require engineering, but may have some backfire effects on it. 3 epic rings, some very interesting trinkets, one that I think might be like Gnomish battle chicken, and one that also looks like a free action potion in a trinket. That is extremely cool. And then basically every slot of every type of armor has a drop. The only ones that appear to not exist are helmets, which makes sense because, well, we'll talk about them in just a minute. The dungeon skill books. Basically all buffs are getting a reduced mana cost and increased duration version. Fort, AI, Mark, Blessings, they all get it. Now, a few things that were data mined as runes were possibly moved over to these skill books, those being Hunter's Aspect of the Viper, Priests, Shadow Fiend, and Warriors Commanding Shout. Other than that, the only new things I'm seeing here are Druids get their res, and multiple Druids can put their rejuve and regrowth up on the same target. Rogue's Redirect lets you bank combo points for 15 seconds. They don't just automatically move over. Kind of interesting. Shaman's Totemic Projection relocates all totems you have down to a specified location, so it's not Totemic Recall. Pretty interesting. And there are some huge quality of life improvements for Warlock. You can now make a portal for summoning, which to me sounds kind of like the Lock TV, and you can get additional soul shards. Finally, some of the new crafting items were data mined. A lot of them don't have all the info in there, like there are some new alch items and new NG explosives, although there is a new enchant specifically for mechanicals. That is pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Now, the new epic gear, they all look really good. My favorite is this belt. I love how there's a bit of a gamble with it and you can get crit or movement speed. I just wish it wasn't a 15-minute cooldown, that's kind of a bit much. And this shield, I actually don't like it at all. It requires engineering, and it does damage to targets on block, but also damage back to you, possibly as much or more than the target took. That's kind of stupid. Possibly this leather caster helm is the best though. 20 seconds of 100% mana regen, that is pretty huge. And the DPS leather one is also quite nice. Alright, I lied. The final thing is the Blood Moon PvP rewards were also all data mined. Wowhead is actually doing serious work today, and good job. Wowhead doesn't often do a good job, but they are today. There's a ton of things here. At least 3 for each class, some have 4. They are all class locked and are all unique, so you just get one. The most worthless item award goes to a Hunter bow that has 1.8 speed and a strength proc. Okay, that's not how Hunter works. That's not even how melee Hunter works. But what is the point of this? Probably the most interesting one though is this Feral Mace. It has an on-use that is kind of like a cleave added to your auto attacks, causes additional threat, and lasts 20 seconds with a 3-minute cooldown. Or possibly just all of the maces, because they get the Warcraft 3 style totem for their model. That's pretty damn cool that we can finally get that, especially if you're playing a Tauren. And most of the classes, honestly, at least one of their items are pretty good. So I expect you're going to want to do the Blood Moon event on all of your characters, at least for a little while. I'm extremely impressed with what has been shown for P2 so far, just like I know you were extremely impressed with his video. I hope you liked it because I'm going hard over here. We are close, so close to 20k subs. So if you did enjoy it, hit that like button, subscribe button. What the fuck is that strength proc bow button? That was hard to say. All that other shit. I appreciate each and every one I get, like for real, I actually do. But that is going to be all for this one. I really appreciate you all watching, and I will see you all for the next one.